Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Croatia's return to mandatory military service highlights a shifting landscape in Europe, where countries like Sweden, Latvia and Lithuania have also reinstated conscription to address security threats. Now, with 800 recruits already in training and up to 4,000 expected annually in the Balkan nation. Now, to discuss what this means and its impact, we're joined by Davor Bernardić, a former leader of the Social Democratic Party of Croatia. Good to have you here on TVP World.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you.
So I just want to set the stage here. I mean, this has now returned. It's mandatory. Give us, I think, maybe a brief uptake of why and the reason this has now become a mandatory army once again.
First of all, it's not like we should not be blind about the safety situation in the whole Europe, especially after Russian invasion on Ukraine. The things changed in a certain way, and this Croatia's return to compulsory military training should be understood in broader European context. That this is not primarily about the militarization of the society, but about strengthening preparedness, resilience, and basic national security capacity. So many European countries are rethinking defense readiness, and Croatia is now doing the same. More or less, you know, we will have the next year more than 4,000 of volunteers that will join this kind of a preparation program. It's not figure it out as I would say a long military training or exercise. It's more like a program that will have impact of about 2 months, and it will be practical for survival, for using military tools, especially weapons, and to get familiar with the military equipment, which can, you know, guarantee in a certain way for this kind of trainees some kind of readiness and preparedness.
It's interesting you mentioned that one of the reasons was about national security concerns. If we're looking at other countries across Europe, we see that return conscription in the Baltic states, for instance, in the Nordics. A bit of an outlier with Croatia. Does that mean, in your sense, that there's more of an awareness of the threats posed potentially by Russia in Croatia?
I think that we are not afraid of the Russia and the Russian aggression here in Croatia, and we are a little bit far away from Russia, but we had the issue with drone that fell in Zagreb at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, and without any reaction of first Romanian defense system, then Hungarian, and at the last stage the Croatian defense system. So it opened some questions about the security and readiness to defend within the NATO. We are the members of NATO, and as the members of NATO, we have some kind of a responsibility, but also and rights to be defended. But rising that concerns, Croatia wants to be autonomously ready for potential, I would say, conflicts, and be ready to defend herself. So you are aware that we, at the beginning of 90s, were exposed to Serbian aggression. Croatia defended itself, restored the territory that was occupied, and we also now want to be a modern military, modern army with capacities that are enough for us to defend.
Mm-hmm. And just also the wider impact, how at the moment is this being perceived by the public? Is there enthusiasm for this? And tell us a little bit more about looking at the difference in terms of male and women recruitment in this.
Concretely, I can say that it got support from the Croatian society, more or less, yeah, and it's in some kind of a trial period. Now we have only 800 of volunteers that joined the army now. And concerning the, I would say, the willingness to continue this program, I think that it will exactly rely on the execution of this program. So it should be fair, it should be sustainable, and it should be accountable. So I think that with the beginning of this program, we will see what challenges we will face as a country and as a defense system.
Mm-hmm. And also, one thing I wanted to ask is as well with NATO membership, and Croatia is in NATO. You said that this is right now sort of a trial period if we're looking at conscription. It looks to be about 2 months, but how do you see this potentially play out? How much of a role would conscripts then have and play in, let's say, larger, let's say, operations where NATO is included?
On the side of the de-escalation of all the conflicts, as the majority of the European countries, for particular obligatory compulsory missions within the NATO. But we are not, like I would say, in the first row when it comes to questions with the influence outside the borders of the NATO. So we are strongly considered exclusive on defend our country within NATO, accountable allies for all our partners in the NATO.
All right, and I think this was very interesting. If we could just get one final quick line, if we may. The timing of this, I mean, it's just 2 months for this basic training. Some other countries, it's 6 months. If we look at Sweden, I think it's even 9 months. How do you respond to the criticism that this might be a little bit short to get proper training done?
We know that 2 months is not enough to create a fully trained soldier, of course, but that is not really the point. Is to create, I would say, a basic level of the discipline, a familiarity with defense structures, and a capacity to respond in the time of crisis, of course, and some reserve potential. And whether it succeeds will depend only on the quality of the training, not just the duration. So it's more seen as first stage, I would say, in preparation for a broader level of broadening capacity of defense of the Croatian army and the Croatia in whole.
Mm-hmm. And then also I want to scale out, if I may. I mean, Croatia, as we already said, a NATO member state, an EU member state, also access through the Adriatic Sea to the Mediterranean. In terms of what's currently going on, the policy that Zagreb has towards Iran, where does Croatia stand in that? Are we looking at a unified policy with other European countries, or what's the position from Croatia?
Croatia is concerned about the further escalation and the priority of our foreign policy, even though we have some kind of a misunderstanding between the Prime Minister and the President. The priority should be to prevent a wider regional war and protect of civilians. And that's our first goal, of course, with supported and coordinated diplomacy activities with allies. Of course, that we are worried about this escalation. Of course, that the dictatorship regime in Iran, especially with the possibility of using nuclear weapons, is a threat. But we should think about the further de-escalation exclusively with coordinated diplomacy activities. And I think that first goal in Croatia should also should give his part is the goal to find a diplomatic solution for a sustainable peace at Middle East.
All right, so many different threads there, but I think very interesting now with that compulsory conscription being introduced in Croatia. Thank you so much. That was our guest here, Davor Bernardić from the Social Democratic Party of Croatia, its former leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you for joining us here on World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.